Hey guys, how you doing? It's Coach Ash here from GOE Hoops. Pleased to announce that we're teaming up with Oz Hoopers to provide you a new series called Eagle Eye. The idea behind the series is to give you guys insight into how coaches might break down players' games. The players that we focus on are going to be Australian-based. Australian young talent is going to be the main emphasis. And we're keen to see what you guys think about the series and the content with your questions, comments, and any feedback you guys might have. Taran Armstrong is going to be the player in focus for this episode of GOE Eagle Eye. And there's three main strengths that I picked up on during his World Cup campaign with the Under-19s Australian team that just passed. The first thing we're going to look at is his poise and his patience and decision-making in pick-and-roll situations. The second thing is his three-point shot off the catch and shoot and how efficiently he gets into it. And the third thing is his on-ball defense, which is probably the thing that surprised me the most about his game. Let's get started. As mentioned, the first thing we're going to look at is Taran's ability to play in the two-man game or the pick-and-roll. His patience and poise in these areas is something that I think is underrated, especially for someone his age. We can see here that Taran is receiving a step-up screen from his teammate AK. And before we even play the action and look through the read, I want you to notice that there's only 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Most players at this age would generally put the ball on the floor and try and make something happen. But Taran, you can see he holds the ball in triple threat and he really waits for the action to develop and for the screen to be set. Now when we play it, we notice that Turkey are forced into a switch as it's late shot clock, and that's generally the way that late shot clock ball screens get defended. And Taran waits for his big man, AK, to roll the guard out of there, and he recognises he now has an advantage on the big man, number 12, from Turkey defending him. He gets the ball back into his right hand, sets him up with a float dribble and a hezi, and explodes to his right hand. As Taran gets downhill, we can see 4 white jerseys around him and an open shooter there for Australia, and he throws a perfect pass in rhythm on the shooter's chest, which results in a knockdown 3. If we take the clip back, we can see here that the majority of Taran's work is done through his surveying. Before he attacks the switch, he already notices that the help defense is loaded up from Turkey. Instead of forcing up a wild shot or a tough shot and being rushed by the fact that he's only got a few seconds left, he makes sure that he takes his time, gets in the paint, and makes a really good decision. The poise to not be rushed by the clock, to recognise the defensive coverage, to recognise the help defense, are the things that really stand out to me from this clip. The second play here is also looking at Taran in the two-man game. We can see here that Taran's coming down in semi-transition and receives a step-up screen. The first thing that he does that really impressed me is the poise on the setup. Doesn't go too early, it's not rushed with it. He makes sure he maintains his dribble, keeps his defender at bay, and he allows for the screen to be set and the contact to be made. Once that occurs, it's a matter of decision-making and realization of what the coverage is. Any two-man game situation, you must be looking at the coverage, what the big man's doing and what the guard is doing. We can see in this situation, Taran's man is fighting over the top and the big man is in a drops. So AK does a really good thing by setting the step-up screen, and as Taran comes off, he slows down just enough using his 6'4" frame and his length to make sure his man doesn't get back in front of him. He engages the big man and allows just enough time for AK to roll, and we can see there as we pause it, there's a big gap under the rim, probably perfect for a lob pass. So as the play develops, we can see Taran then engages the big's forced to commit, he doesn't let his man get back in front, and he throws a pinpoint pass over the top. If we take the play back, we can see here that Taran takes advantage of the fact that there's no help side. Turkey could have defended this action much better by loading up on the help side, and we can see here that Dyson's man's all the way over attached to him. He should have been further off in the paint, at least trying to disrupt that passing lane or tag the big as he rolls. That would have then forced Taran to make another decision and not allow that easy pass over the top. Still great poise and decision-making from Taran, but defensively we can see a huge lapse here. The next part of Taran's game that I found very impressive was his balance and his stability in his catch-and-shoot 3. We can see here in this first clip, he's going to play off the ball in the strong side corner when Dyson's dribbling the ball. And as Dyson looks to get downhill, Taran's man goes to help, and Taran then lifts up to create a passing angle for Dyson to kick out. As Dyson kicks the ball out, Taran, we can see here, sets his feet, his hips and his shoulders all square to the rim, and he gets his shoulders low enough so then he doesn't have to dip after the catch. He's already dipped before the ball hits his hands. That allows him to flow into his shot motion quickly and efficiently and to get the ball up as fast as possible. Another thing that impressed me about Taran's shot in a catch and shoot situation is the fact that he has a natural drift in his shot. We can see here that as he releases the ball and he gets rid of it, Taran's hips twist to the left and his right foot ends up in front of his left foot, allowing him to drift over towards the right, creating extra separation from his defender. We can see a lot of NBA players also do this, but I only recommend it if you have very good mechanics and you have the ability to contort in the air and still remain square enough to get your shot up to the rim and not compromise on accuracy. See here in the next catch and shoot situation for Taran that he receives the ball off a kick out and he gets it up to the rim extremely quickly. Much the same principles apply, even though the camera angle doesn't allow for us to see it. His shoulders, hips, and his feet are all squared to the rim. And the thing I want to point out here, we can just get a look at that ball. The ball doesn't dip below Taran's hips. Now, there's a debate amongst coaches, especially shooting coaches, whether you should dip the ball or shouldn't dip the ball. And I think it's very much about the player. Certain players are efficient in their shot mechanics dipping the ball. Other players have the ability to shoot the ball without dipping. And the advantage you have without dipping the ball is the speed at which you can get it up to the rim. We can see here that Taran doesn't need to dip the ball, and his ability to get the ball from his chest where he receives the ball into his shot pocket is really impressive. Much the same principles apply after the shot is released. We can see his drift occurring. He gets that extra little fade. His right foot ends up in front of his left. And we can see, even though it looks off balance, he's very on balance, and the stability displayed here to get a shot like that off is really impressive. The next part of Taran's game that we're going to dissect is on the defensive side of the floor. Using his length, athleticism, and quickness, he was able to be very disruptive on the defensive side of the floor, something that impressed me a lot throughout the course of the tournament. We can see here that this clip starts off with Taran being engaged on the help side. He's under the rim, leaving his man open. As good team defenses do, they X out on the weak side. What this means is Buali, Bales, and Taran are going to switch when the pass gets thrown. So that pass gets thrown to the corner. Buali realizes Taran's committed to the help. He then goes to the corner. As the extra pass gets thrown to number one, Taran then closes out. He does a great job of closing out, and as we play the clip here, we can see that Taran's man tries to go baseline, and Taran does a great job staying on his hip, sliding his feet, not allowing him to turn the corner, and closing that gap. Then when he retreats, Taran stays with him and closes that gap once again without giving him any opportunity to attack. Then once again, he tries to go baseline. Taran's right there, doesn't fall for the counter, doesn't bite on the up fake, stays disciplined, and he closes out well without fouling and blocks a shot. The next defensive clip we're going to look at is Taran's ability to pick up the ball full court. We can see here that he forces his man to turn twice in the back court, and he does a very good job of when that big man who's trailing kind of tries to set a brush screen, of avoiding the contact and using his length and athleticism to make sure that his man doesn't get in front of him. Stays on his hip, and then when the man comes to a stop to retreat, Taran closes the gap aggressively, tries to cut him off from changing direction. We can see here he does a very good job of sliding his feet, moving laterally, and he's picking up, forcing his man to retreat from the three-point line all the way to half court. As he tries to attack again, Taran does a great job of reaching in and going for the ball. And although he gets called for the foul, I think that's pretty clean defense, and the whistle probably stopped him from getting a breakaway dunk. From both of those defensive possessions, we can see that Taran's very effective in using his length and athleticism to rush the offensive player. He's very disciplined as well on the closeout and in fighting over that screen and not getting beat off the dribble. Where his discipline comes out the most is his ability to not allow the offensive player to retreat and attack in a secondary phase. He takes away the first drive, and as the offensive player retreats or tries to set themselves up again, he closes the gap and makes sure that his presence is felt. At his 6'4" length and his athleticism and his ability to slide laterally, he can be a really versatile and good defender. So that wraps up episode 1, where the player in focus was Taran Armstrong and his recent participation in the Under-19 World Cup that just finished. Keen to hear your feedback and your comments and any questions you guys might have in the comments below. Also keen to hear any suggestions about players you want to see broken down. It can be young guys from the NBL 1 or maybe the NBL season that just finished, or even anything from the upcoming Olympics that's just about to start next week. So as I said, keen to hear all your feedback, so drop it in the comments below, and we look forward to seeing you at episode 2. Appreciate it.